Along with many other rewards obtained from completing the Wilderness task set, players were able to complete their elite tier to receive a better drop rate for the ancient warrior equipment from the revenants within the Forinthry Dungeon. So before I completed my elite task, I decided to spend an hour inside this dungeon to compare drop rates pre and post increase. Before we get into the loot, here's a little information on the dungeon itself. The Forinthry Dungeon isn't very challenging, being aimed at mid to high level players. You kill revenants inside of a dungeon which is inside the wilderness. Players should be advised to only bring things they're willing to lose or be very careful, and 3 items. PKers do come through this area fairly frequently, as this can give them some decent PKs depending on the people down there. All the revenants have the same drop table apart from one unique item, which is usually junk like rune daggers or chalk ice. Items that you'll be looking for are the ancient artifacts, corrupt dragon items, brawler gloves, and the ancient warrior items. To my knowledge, there has never been a confirmed drop rate on these items from any of the revenants, or if any of the revenants legitimately give a better drop chance, but some say that the higher the level of revenant, the better the drops. I'm still not convinced on this theory. Now, with all that being said, this is my loot from the first hour before I completed the Wilderness Elite task set. My first drop was a Morgan's leather body after about 20 minutes of killing revs, and not too far after that I received a Zuriel's staff drop. Along with those, you'll see the 300k, which I got off of a PKer who didn't know what he was doing exactly. You'll find PKers down there ranging from all levels, but more often than not they'll be pretty amateur at the best, and you can take them on fairly easily. They tend to try to prey on weaker targets, it seems, so what I usually do is bring 3 items, making me look like an easy target, but in reality I already have my adrenaline installed, so I can kind of berserk on them and get some high hits in and possibly KO them fairly quickly. That's all I received for my first hour down there pre-buff, and I had to fiddle with the prices a little bit to get things to sell, but after everything was said and done, the body sold for 1 mil, and the staff did eventually sell for 1 mil after I left it in the GE overnight. The alloc value on the Zuriel's staff was 180k, so always be careful about what you're actually trying to sell your items for and do not sell under the alloc value. Next we have the hour post buff, and again I received only 2 drops, meaning that I didn't see any difference pre to post buff, but then again it was only an hour sample size. Personally, I was expecting to see some sort of improvement, but clearly this needs more testing. The items I received this time were a Corrupt Stadia's full helm and Corrupt Stadia's plate legs. You'll see the helm sold for just a bit over 800k, and the legs, well, they didn't do as well, only selling for about 100k, again after leaving them in the GE overnight. You'll see me check the alloc value as well, just to make sure I don't undercut myself on most of these price checks. And there you have it, me comparing the revenant drops pre and post buff, but sadly no real data to report back on, as it seems to need further testing. I don't normally go to revs anymore as I have other things to accomplish on RuneScape, but those who have known me for quite some time know that I actually funded my Maxcape purely off of the rev drops for a little while, making over 1 billion rev drops alone over the course of about a week or so. Of course, this was also when VLSs were selling for 30 to 40 mil, that is Warhammers were 15 to 20, and etc. For people curious, my average drop in this video clearly was 1 item per about every 30 minutes or so, and in reality that's what I usually expect, so no big surprises there again. To wrap up this video, I'll tell you that there's definitely money to be made down in the Forinthry Dungeon for most skill levels. I'd definitely give it a shot with or without the Wilderness task sets done, but that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a like and possibly subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.